It was supposed to be a peaceful getaway. Claire, a travel blogger from Chicago, had booked a vintage Airbnb cabin in upstate New York, surrounded by woods, away from city noise, and perfect for her next vlog. The host had glowing reviews. Charming, private, cozy vibes, they said. She arrived just before sunset. The place looked older than the pictures, paint-chipped, windows fogged, but there was something oddly welcoming about it. Inside, everything was quiet, almost too quiet. She unpacked, made some tea, and began filming. But when she entered the bedroom, she paused. A massive antique mirror was mounted to the wall facing the bed. Claire stared at her own reflection. For a split second, she thought she saw someone else standing behind her. But when she turned, nothing was there. She laughed nervously, blaming travel exhaustion. But as she turned off the camera, the mirror flickered. Just once, like something behind it had moved. Claire stared into the antique mirror. It looked off. Not broken, not cracked, just wrong. The glass seemed darker than normal, like it had a depth to it. And her reflection slightly delayed. Almost like it was catching up to her in real time. She laughed it off, chalking it up to jet lag and nerves. But that night, as she reviewed her footage, something made her skin crawl. In a shot from earlier, as she passed by the mirror, her reflection didn't move with her. It just stood there, watching her walk by. She paused the video, rewound, watched it again. Same thing. She checked the mirror, tapped it. Solid glass. She even waved at it. This time, the reflection followed her like normal. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe she was tired. She decided to sleep it off. But just as she lay in bed, the temperature in the room dropped. And then came a sound, a soft tap, from behind the mirror. Claire froze. The sound was subtle, barely audible. Tap, 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 like fingernails brushing wood. She turned toward the mirror. Nothing but her reflection, bathed in moonlight from the window. She got up, moved closer, pressed her ear to the glass. Silence. Then suddenly, a thud. Not loud, but heavy, like something inside the wall had fallen or moved. She staggered back. Her breathing grew shallow. Her eyes scanned the room, looking for a logical answer. Maybe it was rats. Pipes? But the sound wasn't coming from the floor or ceiling. It was directly behind the mirror. She grabbed her phone and began recording, whispering into the mic. Something's inside the wall. I don't know what. The mirror, it's mounted, but there's space behind it. It doesn't feel right. She zoomed in. The edge of the mirror wasn't sealed to the wall. There was a faint gap along the side. Claire slid her fingers along it and discovered a hidden latch. Her heart raced. She hadn't noticed it before. She hesitated, then clicked it open. The mirror creaked, then swung forward, revealing a narrow black opening. A crawl space. The air that rushed out was ice cold and smelled like rotting earth. And somewhere deep inside that darkness, something moved. Claire hesitated. The latch was cold, rusted. She pulled it, gently at first, then harder. With a low click, the mirror shifted. It wasn't just a mirror. It was a door. It creaked open about 6 inches, revealing pitch-black darkness behind it. The smell hit her instantly. Mold, rot, something dead. She turned on her phone's flashlight and peered in. It was a narrow crawl space, just a few feet deep. Wooden beams, insulation, dust thick like snow. But then, something caught her eye. Scratch marks, clawed into the beams. Dozens of them. Some old, some fresh. And in the far corner, a small mattress, flattened and stained, like someone had been sleeping there. Her hand shook as she filmed, and then her flashlight flickered. In that split second of darkness, she swore she saw a figure. Crouched, watching her. The light returned, and it was gone. She slammed the mirror shut, locked the latch, and stumbled back. But just before she could turn away, her phone buzzed. New Airbnb message. Hope you're settling in okay. Don't open the mirror. Claire locked the mirror shut and backed away, heart racing. What was that? A squatter? A trick of the light? She wanted to leave, call someone, anyone, but her phone screen went black. Dead battery? No, she just charged it. She rushed to plug it in, but the outlets weren't working. No signal. No Wi-Fi. The entire cabin felt cut off. Claire grabbed her car keys and bolted for the door. But when she pulled, it wouldn't budge. Locked from the outside. She screamed, pounded, kicked. Nothing. Then, a sound from the bedroom. She turned. The mirror latch was open again. Wide open. And behind the mirror, 2 glowing eyes stared out from the dark. Not human. Too wide. Too still. and then, slowly, they began to move forward. Closer. Claire backed away, whispering to herself, "This isn't real. This isn't happening." But it was. And whatever lived behind that mirror, it wasn't trying to hide anymore. Claire ran. She didn't think, just acted. She grabbed her bag, flashlight, anything she could, and sprinted to the kitchen, slamming the door behind her. She could still feel its eyes, like they were burned into her back. The mirror door creaked open again. Slowly, deliberately, Claire braced herself, clutching a kitchen knife. Silence. Then, thud, thud, thud. Heavy footsteps echoed through the cabin, but the hallway was empty. She pointed her light toward the mirror. It was wide open now. The crawl space inside was dark, but empty. Whatever it was out. Suddenly, the hallway light above her flickered. Then a whisper. Not in her ears. Inside her head. "You found me, now stay." She dropped the flashlight. The light spun as it hit the ground. And for a split second, she saw it. A pale, twisted figure crawling on the ceiling, its limbs bent the wrong way, mouth stretched into a silent scream. Claire screamed and ran to the bathroom, locking the door. But as she looked up, her heart stopped. There was another mirror inside, and behind it, a hand pressed slowly against the glass. Claire screamed. The thing dropped from a ceiling, silent, like it had no weight. She bolted into the bathroom, slamming the door and locking it. Her breaths came in panicked gasps. She looked up. The mirror. The same antique frame. Another one. Just like in the bedroom. She stepped back, horrified. Then tap, tap, tap. From behind the glass. She turned off the light. Her reflection kept moving. It raised a hand and pressed it flat against the mirror, as if beckoning her to do the same. Claire whispered through trembling lips, "What are you?" The mirror began to fog up, letters scrawling across it from the inside. "Stay." She ran again. Back into the living room, toward the front door. This time it was open. Daylight poured through. The air smelled fresh. It felt normal. She didn't question it, just ran out, jumped into her car, and drove. She didn't look back. Not once. But later, as she reviewed the footage on her camera, in every shot, the mirror was closed. And her reflection wasn't hers. Claire didn't stop driving for hours. She reached a motel just outside Albany, checked in without saying a word, and locked the door behind her. She didn't sleep. She couldn't. Her mind replayed that whisper over and over. "You found me, now stay." At dawn, she finally closed her eyes. But when she woke up, there was a mirror on the wall that hadn't been there before. Same frame, same antique edges, same faint scratch across the glass. She backed away in horror. The motel didn't have decorative mirrors. It was bare, cheap, plastic everything. But this mirror, she grabbed her phone and took a picture. The reflection didn't show her. It showed the crawl space, the mattress, the scratch marks, and in the corner, something crawling toward the glass. She dropped the phone, heart hammering. From the mirror, a voice, not a whisper this time. It was right behind her. "You left the door open." Claire stood frozen, staring at the mirror in the motel room. "You left the door open." The voice was behind her, but when she spun around, nothing was there. Just the empty room, the peeling wallpaper, and the mirror reflecting something else entirely. She backed into the corner, breathing shallow and fast. This wasn't just some haunted Airbnb. Whatever that thing was, it had attached itself to her. Maybe the door she opened behind that mirror, it wasn't just a hidden space. It was a threshold, something ancient, hungry, waiting. She knew she couldn't run anymore. She picked up her phone, hands shaking, and tried to call someone, anyone. But every number she dialed came back with the same robotic message. "This number is no longer in service." Her own phone contacts were gone, erased. The only thing in her call log was a single outgoing number. Unknown, 3:03 a.m. She had no memory of making that call. That's when she noticed the mirror again. It was fogging up from the inside. And then, slowly, a hand pressed against the glass. Not hers. Long fingers. Stretched skin. Veins like roots crawling beneath it. Then another hand. Then a face. It was her face. But wrong. Eyes too wide. Smile too deep. Skin too pale. It mouthed something she couldn't hear. Claire screamed and hurled the lamp at the mirror. It shattered into 1,000 pieces. But behind the glass wasn't a wall. It was the crawl space again. Endless. Black. Breathing. And something was moving in it. She didn't wait. She grabbed her bag and ran for the motel door. But outside wasn't the parking lot. It was the Airbnb hallway. Same rotting wallpaper. Same creaking floorboards. She was back. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Behind her, the mirror pieces on the floor began to pulse. They were bleeding. One shard showed her reflection, standing perfectly still. Then it blinked. Claire hadn't blinked. She realized the truth far too late. She hadn't escaped. She hadn't survived. That thing didn't want to kill her. It wanted to replace her. And somewhere out there, Claire's reflection was walking around, smiling, breathing. But it wasn't her anymore.